Welcome back to MidPoint from the Center for Strategic and International Studies Transnational Threats Project, formerly with the Washington Times and United Press International. Arnaud de Borchgrave joins us once again. Arnaud, let us get down to the fact of what happened, the cartoons themselves. Since the killings yesterday, there are some coming out on the very far edge who say that the cartoonists and the magazine brought it on themselves. They insulted the cleric. They knew what they were doing. They've been firebombed before. It is their fault, and they should have known better. What do you gather is the consensus from the people in Paris, and your own thought on that?
Well, I mean, people in Paris, I'm sure all points of view are represented. Majority obviously feel that a magazine like Charlie Hebdo should express itself the way it feels is within the bounds of the law, and the law, as you know, has no limits in this particular instance. Beyond that, I'm not sure what one can really say that's going to add to the merit of this particular debate. Obviously, we're in a no-holds-barred situation. Where it goes from here, I know not. My own personal inclination is to believe that it's going to quiet down after it reaches a peak in the next day or two, and I hope I'm right.
When you say no holds barred, that's an interesting phrase, because the people of France, the people in Paris, have always been seen as very casual, very friendly, and not very warlike, not very angry, if you will, to many people around the world. But this is an attack on the homeland, a dozen people killed. Do you sense that the people there now will seek revenge, that they will become a little more hawkish, if you will, and they will now help to be in front of this entire effort to make sure that a radical element is cleaned out and stop basically being politically correct?
Yeah, that may very well be what is driving all of this for the next few days. I don't see it having a long-lasting effect, however, as we've been through these crises many times before.
Why is that? Why would the people of Paris then not seek that? Is it simply just in their nature?
Well, I mean, we've all been through terrible crises. Every Western nation has. Look at the UK. The UK has been through terrible times. But these things tend to blow over until the next crisis comes down the pike. And I really don't see this one having a longer-lasting impact than the previous one.
Arnaud, I want to get back a little bit to what is going on in Paris itself, because this is what a lot of the discussion is based around right now. There is an article in the Washington Times that came out yesterday that talked about city officials in Paris increasingly ceding control of heavily Muslim neighborhoods to Islamists block by block, and basically not bringing them into, not making them a part of French society. They sit on their own, they are completely alien, and they run their own countries. Do you see that as a major issue, and do you agree with that thought?
Yeah, I think that is happening to a very large degree. It happens block by block, and the police tend at times to disengage from those particularly hot areas, if only to come back with the next crisis. But that it does seem to be the sort of disengagement process that kicks in after such an incident.
Doesn't that need to stop, though? Doesn't there need to eventually, at a time of violence when people are being killed, to basically knuckle under? I hate to use some of the American terms here, but get tough. It seems as if they simply are just laissez-faire about this.
Yeah, there's very much a laissez-faire attitude in France about such incidents, horrible though they are. Again, I hate to be someone who throws cold water on any idea that comes down the pike. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to explain that these things reach a certain crescendo, and then they tend to die down, not completely, but they're in the background until the next big crisis hits.
Do you get any sense whatsoever from the people in Paris that the government there, the police, the law enforcement, should have done better and should have done a better job looking at these individuals and preparing for something like this?
Yes, of course. But don't forget the magnitude of the problem. It's huge. We've mentioned some of the figures in France about the Muslim, so-called Muslim minority. It's an enormous minority, and most of them, of course, knuckle under. They don't want to stand up to the extremists, even though they personally are very anti-extremist. They're always leery of doing so, scared of doing so. and tend to, as a result, keep quiet.
Those are the people that perhaps need to grow a spine,
It's the silent majority, absolutely.
but perhaps grow that spine, correct? They need to become a little more out front.
You're absolutely correct.
All right, there we go. Arnaud de Borchgrave, thank you very much for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you again.
My pleasure. Thank
All right,
you.
take care. We should also point out that the manhunt for the two still on the loose continues. They believe that the two of them may have pulled off a gas station heist in northern France, and that's where they're now focusing a lot of their attention. We're continuing to watch the international wires. We'll bring you up to speed as soon as we hear something new. Other side of the break, the Paris attack angle that is at the moment being somewhat overlooked. The security issues here in America and around the world it brings to the fore. All coming up right here on MidPoint.